Their earnings, of course, tomorrow before the market opens. Now, Bed Bath & Beyond we'll start with today. They have actually missed more times than they've beat in recent years, so that is concerning, but they kind of have this unique story right now. So analysts are expecting same-store sales growth of about 76% year over year. And, of course, we cannot talk about Bed Bath & Beyond without mentioning they've sort of been hit by this meme surge, this Wall Street bets infused, surge in the last few months. So the shares were actually up are up 60% year to date. They got caught up in sort of this meme rally, but they have settled a little bit. Now, they are facing relatively easy comps from last year's pandemic hit period, but a lot of analysts are saying they're actually engaged beyond this Reddit-induced surge in really a multi-year comeback story, and many are looking to see if this can continue. They're heading into their largest new product rollout in their company history. They're releasing 2 new private label brands, and I also think it's important to keep in mind when we talk about Bed Bath & Beyond, what do they really do? Why do you go to a Bed Bath & Beyond? Typically, it's when your kids are going back to school, whether that's grade school or college. It's typically somewhere where you go to stock up, or weddings. I mean, the wedding registries are a huge, profit turner for them, and that's now we are seeing weddings again. So 2 areas of growth for them to really capitalize on as the economy reopens. Now, their balance sheet is actually surprisingly strong. They have about $1.3 billion in cash with about $200 million in debt. So better than I would have expected, but a lot of people on Twitter today were really talking about how Target's CEO sort of came over to Bed Bath & Beyond in 2019, and now they have the Ship partnership, which of course Target also has, so that has created a lot of positive noise for them on social media today, which brings me to our first tweet of the day, which says, Bed Bath & Beyond is going to have a great quarter versus expectations. The CEO from Target may be hitting his stride, also in the midst of a buyback, i.e. cash flow, no offerings. It's not a meme, it's about fundamentals. So while I do agree it's so important to separate this sort of meme, noise versus the fundamentals, Andy, I do have to say, 2020 versus 2021, we're expecting them to have relatively easy comps, like I mentioned. Now, fundamentals compared to now versus 2019, are we back to our pre-pandemic levels? Because I kind of think that is the area of concern here.
Yeah, we're back to pre-pandemic levels, just barely, 5% higher on purchase intent mentions versus 2019, which I think is a little bit disappointing for the company, especially when you consider, Jenny, you made a great point about back to school shopping. What we have seen is actually, a really negative outlook for back to school on Bed Bath & Beyond. And when you contrast that with what Amazon pulled off during Prime Day, where they really got into the back to school season, I think they sold 1 million laptops, 1 million headphones, 40,000 calculators. They really got out there. Amazon had a big back to school push on Prime Day, and we're not seeing any of that follow through of back to school shopping with relation to Bed Bath & Beyond. And so what that tells me is maybe Bed Bath & Beyond has missed a little bit of that window already. I think there's so many people that got stuck at home last year. They're ready to start that shopping, and I'm not sure it's going to follow the typical calendar. And it has to be disappointing, I think, for Bed Bath & Beyond right now. I think that they were planning for a big comeback in 2021, and our data so far shows that could fall a little bit flat.
Andy, I try to keep things simple so I don't overthink it. And if there's an explosion in home buying, shouldn't there be, by definition, an explosion in home furnishings retail? And therefore, Bed Bath & Beyond should have the economic environment that they need to succeed. Now, they're redoing stores, and they are making the adaptation to e-commerce. So they're doing all the things right, but what are we missing here? Are they too early? Are they too late? Are they not all the way through their transformation? What is it that's making them miss? Because it appears to me on the surface, with everything going on in the world with home prices and the housing market, this stock or this company should be doing better, correct?
Yeah, I completely agree. They really increased their digital capacity last year very significantly and did a very good job with that. And so we see that, we've seen that pull back quite a bit actually in terms of consumer demand for shopping digitally with Bed Bath & Beyond. Comprehensively, we're down fairly significantly compared to 2019. And so you would think, Kevin, just like you're saying, you would think with back to school kind of on people's minds already, with wedding season coming in for the first time in 2 years, with that booming housing market, you would expect to see Bed Bath & Beyond's consumer demand numbers much higher than they are. And so I think, we are concerned about this company going into this earnings report, and especially the next quarter, which typically is their biggest one. We feel like it may be a case of they're just simply too late and they're not on consumers' radars.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I do completely agree with you both, where it's like they should be benefiting from all of the different things that are happening right now, but they're just not. And I can't say, I kind of been missing I think I'm not the target demographic because I don't have children going to school and I'm not getting married. So I haven't set foot in one of these stores in a while. But it is interesting to see, but to sort of shift gears here to talk about something that is definitely more in my wheelhouse, and that's Constellation Brands, because they, of course, are, the maker of all of these different fun, drinks that we all may frequent. And so really the alcoholic beverage maker is expected to deliver pretty strong results tomorrow pre-market. They've been gaining really strong market share, and specifically their beer business, with their Modelo brand actually driving a huge bulk of this, which actually shocked me because that is not one I typically drink. And they also really continue to capitalize on, of course, this hard seltzer segment with their Corona hard seltzer launching in early 2020. And it's currently the second fastest moving hard seltzer brand, which if you've had it, they're very good. They're delicious. So I can get behind that. But on their earnings call, our previous earnings call in the fourth quarter, they also announced they're expanding really their next phase into Mexico to sort of deliver and capitalize more on their high-end Mexican beer portfolio. So really, they are growing on all cylinders. They have so many different brands within their umbrella. It's actually ridiculous. I didn't even realize that Prisoner Cabernet was part of this company, which is one of their brands that's doing very well, and so they call now one of their power brands. So it's very fun to look at all of these different, names within their portfolio. But this is a hard area to be in because competition is so stiff. I mean, we have so many different companies now competing to sort of gain, consumer loyalty. And that's what our feature today talks about, comparing Constellation Brands to, another company that competes in the same space, which says, was looking at Constellation Brands for the earnings release play next week. Super meh, but Boston Beer does not look too bad on the week level. I'd want to see a break/hold of 1,032, but also Truly is way better than Corona Seltzer in my opinion. So false. I completely agree that Truly is way better than Corona Seltzer. I have had too many Trulies, and so I can say that is not true. So Andy, I'm curious to see what brands within this, massive company are really standing out to you, because there's so many.
Yeah, it's really about Modelo and their seltzers, both doing very well. We've actually got 57% quarter-over-quarter growth as we get into the peak summer season for this Modelo Especial. I'm not exactly sure how to say that beer, but it's really popping. And then from a hard seltzer standpoint, I think this was touted as their most successful innovation in the history of the company. So they're very, very proud of this. Hard seltzer demand overall has increased 120% quarter over quarter. It's a really big thing. You can see on this chart here, Modelo Especial. This is one of those beers that's really driven by the Hispanic population, by the growing Hispanic population in the U.S., and is extremely popular with that population, becoming more and more so. So with Corona as currently the number 6 beer in the U.S., it's definitely Modelo and the Corona brands that are driving that. And then they have the seltzer to boot. And so they've kind of hit both key areas where some of their competitors simply have not.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys are all so surprised that the world as we know it would come back to beer. It's always been about beer, Jenny Horn. It's not about, I believe the hard seltzer is a great product. And I understand why young people of your Alex, Jenny's age would drink hard seltzer. I get that all. But the growth in this company is beer. It always had, I mean, Modelo is the brand. Corona and Modelo, those are two iconic brands in the beer category. And these two are what it appears to be driving. Now, the seltzer is growing like crazy. And I've heard nothing but good things about the Corona hard seltzer. But Jenny and Andy, isn't it right that's what's driving this company right now, at least all the headlines tell me, is Modelo and the beer. And you know how I know? You're starting to see Modelo commercials pop up all over. And Andy's right. It's targeting the Hispanic sector, which is a massive and growing part of this economy. Andy, what am I getting wrong there?
Well, the only thing I think that you're getting wrong is that, we do see Corona hard seltzer up 120% year over year. And what's cool about that is they've only got 6% of the market, whereas I think Truly has something like 26%. So the room for growth in the seltzer market is extreme, and it's the fastest growing segment overall. So you can see it here. Bud Light doing a very good job with their new seltzer. You kind of expect that, but Corona, really outpacing the rest. And I think it's been a very successful product launch, and one that we continue to see doing very well, into the future, because people really like it. When we compare consumer happiness levels, both of those brands, Budweiser and Corona Seltzer, 77% positive, leading the pack in the industry. And so I think they're building a really loyal, growing fan base with the two product lines that matter the most to their business.
Andy, this is a space in kind of the beer space, the beer and seltzers, that there's a fair amount of brand loyalty. How much has Constellation Brands kind of built a moat around, whether it's Modelo, Corona, is that kind of corner of the alcohol market, that brand loyalty spills over? If you're going to go get a seltzer, that you just get the Corona one because you like Corona. Is there any truth to that? Or are we still in the market where there's so many new seltzers, kind of popping up on shelves that we're just trying all of them?
Yeah, I think we're trying all of them, but I think you are more likely to end up gravitating towards the brand that you have brand loyalty to on the beer side. And so I think, I was skeptical of Bud Light and Corona naming their seltzers the same as their beers, but I think it's playing out to make a big difference, for these companies. And we see it in the growth numbers over time. So I do think that is a factor going forward. I think they do have some of the strongest brands. And it's kind of cool to see, when Bud Light or Corona does advertising for either one of those products, whether it's seltzer or beer, they get lift for both categories. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a pretty interesting way of doing things. And, other companies that segmented off the seltzer completely may end up regretting that.
Super quick here, Andy, before we let you go. You seemed a little bit down on Bed Bath & Beyond, and that was clear. Is this enough for Constellation Brands, the data that you're seeing, to justify the rally that we've seen and see another one continuing, or have they come too far too fast?
I think with Constellation justifies the rally that we've seen, and the stock is probably priced about right.
Good stuff. Andy Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio.com. Thank you as always. Look forward to talking to you again soon. All right, guys.